14 signs and symptoms of vitamin D3 deficiency you need to know. Vitamin D is an extremely important vitamin that has powerful effects on several systems throughout your body. Unlike other vitamins, vitamin D functions like a hormone. Every single cell in your body has a receptor for it. Your body makes it from cholesterol when your skin is exposed to sunlight. It's also found in certain foods such as fatty fish and fortified dairy products, though it's very difficult to get enough from diet alone. For most adults, the recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for vitamin D is around 600 to 800 U, but many experts recommend getting even more than that. Vitamin D deficiency is very common. It's estimated that about 1 billion people worldwide have low blood levels of the vitamin. According to one review, 41.6% of adults in the United States are deficient. This number goes up to 69.2% in Hispanic adults and 82.1% in African American adults. Here are some of the most common risk factors for vitamin D deficiency. Having dark skin. Being an older adult. Being overweight or having obesity. Not eating much fish or dairy. Living far from the equator in areas where there is little sun year-round. Always using sunscreen when going out. However, using sunscreen is important in helping prevent sun-damaging effects to the skin, including skin cancer. Staying indoors. Having chronic kidney disease, liver disease, or hyperparathyroidism. Having a health condition that affects nutrient absorption, such as Crohn's disease or celiac disease. Having gastric bypass surgery. Using certain medications that impact vitamin D metabolism. People who live near the equator and get frequent sun exposure are less likely to be deficient, as their skin produces enough vitamin D to satisfy their body's needs. Most people do not realize that they're deficient, as symptoms are generally subtle. You may not recognize them easily, even if they're having a significant impact on your quality of life. In today's video, we're going to talk about 14 signs of vitamin D deficiency, and the best ways to increase levels of this important nutrient. So if you are ready, let's get into it. 14 signs you might have a vitamin D deficiency. During cold and flu season, and the COVID-19 pandemic, it is essential to maintain healthy levels of vitamin D to help reduce your risk of viral and bacterial illness. A blood test is the best way to determine your vitamin D levels, but here are some symptoms that may indicate your levels are low. 1. Aching muscles. Nearly half of all adults are affected by muscle pain. Researchers believe most of those are deficient in vitamin D. Some studies have suggested that nerves have vitamin D receptors that affect the perception of pain. In one animal model, research demonstrated a vitamin D deficient diet can induce deep muscle hypersensitivity that was not connected to low levels of calcium. 2. Painful bones. Vitamin D regulates the level of calcium in your body, necessary to protect bone health. Vitamin D deficiency can cause your bones to soften, called osteomalacia. This may be a precursor to osteoporosis. 3. Fatigue. This is a common symptom of a variety of different health conditions, including sleep deprivation. Researchers have found that supplementing cancer patients suffering from fatigue can improve their symptoms. In one study using 174 adults with fatigue and stable medical conditions, the researchers found 77.2% were deficient in vitamin D. After normalizing their level, the fatigue symptoms improved significantly. 4. Reduced muscle performance. Vitamin D deficiency is as common in athletes as in others. Vitamin D is crucial for muscle development, strength and performance. Older adults taking a vitamin D supplement have a reduced risk of falls and improved muscle performance. Correction through oral supplementation or sensible sun exposure may reduce symptoms of stress fractures, musculoskeletal pain and frequent illness. Vitamin D also has a direct effect on muscle performance. In one paper from the Journal of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, the author wrote, higher serum levels of vitamin D are associated with reduced injury rates and improved sports performance. In a subset of the population, vitamin D appears to play a role in muscle strength, injury prevention, and sports performance. 5. Brain health. Vitamin D is also essential for your brain health. Symptoms of deficiency can include dementia caused by an increase of soluble and insoluble beta-amyloid, a factor in Alzheimer's disease. Research has also found an association with depression that may be associated with the function of vitamin D buffering higher levels of calcium in the brain. Vitamin D deficiency in pregnant women can increase the risk of autism and schizophrenic-like disorders in the baby. One study of people with fibromyalgia found a vitamin D deficiency was more common in those who had anxiety and depression. Another looked at vitamin D deficiency in obese subjects and found a relationship between low levels of vitamin D and depression. 6. Poor sleep. The mechanism linking vitamin D and poor sleep quality has not been identified. But research has found people with low levels of vitamin D have poor quality sleep and a higher risk of sleep disorders. 7. Sweaty head. Excessive sweating, especially on your head, or a change in your pattern of sweating, can indicate a vitamin D deficiency. 8. Hair loss. Vitamin D is crucial to the proliferation of keratinocytes and plays an important role in your hair cycle. The vitamin D receptor appears to play a role in the anagon phase of hair growth, leading researchers to conclude treatments that upregulate the vitamin D receptor may be successful in treating hair disorders and are a potential area of further study. 9. Slow healing wounds. Chronic wounds are a major public health challenge. In the US, 2% of the population is affected by chronic wounds, and it is estimated to account for 5.5% of the cost of healthcare in the UK NHS. Vitamin D promotes wound healing and the creation of cadhelicidin, a peptide that fights wound infections. 10. Dizziness. Evidence from animal models suggests that vitamin D is critical in the development of the inner ear, which affects balance and coordination. Analysis of people with vestibular neuritis, characterized by vertigo, showed lower serum vitamin D levels than in people without vestibular neuritis. 11. Heart problems. Clinical studies have shown that vitamin D3 improves circulation and can help improve high blood pressure. In one study, researchers discovered that vitamin D3 also has a significant effect on the endothelial cells that line your cardiovascular system. They found that it helped balance concentrations of nitric oxide and peroxynitrite, which improved endothelial function. 12. Excess weight. How vitamin D affects obesity has not been identified. However, data do show there is a high probability of deficiency in people who are obese. 13. Recurring infections. There have been multiple epidemiological studies that show vitamin D deficiency can increase the risk of infection and raise the severity, particularly in respiratory tract infections. Multiple studies have demonstrated that vitamin D deficiency increases the potential risk for severe disease and mortality, especially in those who are critically ill. 14. Reduced cognitive function. Data show that vitamin D deficiency increases your risk of dementia twofold and raises your risk of impaired cognitive function. What are the main sources of vitamin D? You can get vitamin D from. The main sources of vitamin D are sunshine, fatty fish, egg yolks, fish liver oils, fortified foods, and supplements. Sunshine can help you meet the vitamin D requirements, but it's important to limit sun exposure during the winter, and for those living far from the equator, supplements may be needed. Foods that are rich in vitamin D3 are animal sources and include cod liver oil, salmon, trout, herring, sardines, milk, beef liver, egg yolks, cheese and canned tuna. Foods that are rich in vitamin D2 are plant sources and include mushrooms exposed to sun UV rays, such as portobello, morel, shiitake, oyster, as well as fortified soy and almond and milk. How much vitamin D should you take? Vitamin D recommended intake is at 400 to 800 u/day or 10 to 20 micrograms. However, some studies suggest that a higher daily intake of 1000 to 4000 u/25 to 100 micrograms, is needed to maintain optimal blood levels. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe, and click on the bell icon, so that you never miss a video.